Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Monday, March 28th at 7:00 p.m. We are here in the Merrill Sinet Community Room in Thompson Town Hall, as well as on Zoom. We certainly welcome those who are here present to join in citizens' comments at those points on the agenda. We ask you to state your name and address. Citizens' comments will be limited to 3 minutes. And we ask you to address your comments to the chair in a civil and respectful manner. Item 2, roll call. Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer.
John B. Wanacue.
Jane Salty.
Ray Williams.
Mike Grubel. Alden Hill. Brian Santos.
Dave Paulski.
John Ice.
Hi, Dor. Colleen likewise.
And Joseph Brody Brown. Will seat no alternates this evening. It has been suggested that we begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if there's no objection, I will ask everyone to stand. Yeah, you have to start.
I don't know.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No alternates proceeded. Thank you. Item 3, public hearing. There is none. Item 4, discuss public hearing and possible action. None. Item 5, citizens' comments. Ms. Austin.
Donna Austin, 1075 Thompson Road, Thompson, Connecticut. Being on the planning and zoning board is not an easy job. I'm sure you all agree. It's a lot of work, and sometimes it can be a thankless job for all of you. And all of you board members first ran for this committee because you cared about the town of Thompson. I'm presuming that's why you all ran. I believe this statement is to be true for all of you, correct? You all had concerns, and that's why you came onto the board, to do what's good for the town. Now, when you start making policies, regulations, or procedures, however you want to word your terminology, that are not best for the town, but are only best for you, this is called self-serving. Now, self-serving means you only have concern for one's own welfare and one's own interest. An example of this can be seen, self-serving, is when the Planning and Zoning Board went to change the gun rules, regulations, or whatever your terminology is. And this was trying to be pushed through because someone on the board wanted this, and it was self-serving. This was stopped when the town found out, all the citizens, of what was going on, and we had the big meeting, and this was put on the waylay. Now, the second example of self-serving is when I tried to make a comment at the meeting when you were voting on Lower Davis Road to be a scenic route, and also when a board member was being reseated because the Republican stepped down. And I was not allowed to speak at that meeting. Now, the next meeting, it was brought up that me and my husband should have been allowed to speak. And one of the board members stated that he did not care what I had to say. So when you know you don't really care what the community has to say on a certain topic that you're going to be voting on, this is being self-serving. It's not really being considered what everybody in the community wants. So I would like the committee members, all of you, to think about this. I mean, really, truly think about this. When you first ran for this committee, you truly wanted to do what was right for the town. But when you get to the point where you are self-serving and only want to do what is right for you, and you do not want to hear from the citizens of the town, I say it's time to possibly think about stepping down because you are not doing what you first originally came to this committee to do. And that's all that I had to say.
Thank you, Ms. Austin. Ms. Thompson?
Oh, I just have something later in the agenda. I thought I had to sign in.
So just to be clear, so you're an applicant later on?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Not an applicant on the new business.
Gotcha, yeah, okay, thank you, all right. Mr. Warner?
Mr. Chairman, at your January meeting, I raised two issues about how this commission operates under your leadership. You said you would look into it and respond. First issue was that you were violating your bylaws by counting alternates seated for regular members in determining whether or not you had a quorum. Although your bylaws state very clearly, simple majority of the 10 regular members of this commission shall constitute a quorum. The response you gave the following month at your February meeting was that this was your normal procedure and the bylaws were just not clear. Second issue I raised at your January meeting was how you were violating your bylaws by allowing amendments to the zoning regulations and zoning boundaries by a simple majority vote. The issue you did not respond to because your bylaws are very specific on this issue. They state zoning regulations and zoning boundaries may be adopted or amended only by a simple majority of all votes of all 10 regular commission members, not just those present. For these applications, 6 affirmative votes are required for an application to pass. This number does not include alternates seated for regular members. During your meeting on August 24th, 2020, you voted to approve new regulations with a vote of only 4 regular members when your bylaws specify 6 members. During your meeting on May 24th, 2021, you voted to approve new regulations with a vote of only 5 regular members when your bylaws specify 6 are required. During your meeting on August 23rd, 2021, you voted to approve new regulations with a vote of only 4 regular members when your bylaws specify 6 are required. During your meeting on September 27th, 2021, you voted to amend new regulations with the vote of only 4 regular members when your bylaws specify 6 are required. Why didn't you respond at your February meeting on this issue? Is it because in this case, the bylaws are very clear that you indeed violated them when you approved new regulations? Even worse, as part of these new regulations, this board also changed the zoning classification of many properties in Thompson. Your regulations call for the notification of property owners and abutters within 200 feet when a zoning change is being considered by certified mail. You send certified letters to the property owners and abutters? You have the certified mail receipt. In both cases, I believe the answer to be no, because once again, this board believes it's above the law.
That's it. 3 minutes.
You have been given the power to enforce your regulations on us, but the people of Thompson expect you to follow the rules as well. We're hoping that once you realize you had violated your bylaws, you would attempt to repair the damage. But we haven't seen any action on your part. You could at least return the regulations to where they were before September 2020, then make your update, but do it legally this time, notifying the property owners and abutters of the zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. I will address some of that in Commissioner's comments as well. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments at this time?
Melody Clark, 105 Elm Road, and I just wanted to come before the commission and say thank you for your vote last month on the open space. Did everybody hear me? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Any other citizens' comments this time? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item 6, approval of minutes. Item 6A is for the regular meeting minutes of December 27th, 2021. These were discussed and approved at our January meeting. Afterwards, Mr. Poplawski pointed out an error in that he had been, the minutes read that Mr. Santos had been seated for Ms. Langlois, when in fact, Mr. Poplawski had been seated for Ms. Langlois. And then Ms. Langlois came to that meeting. So Mr. Santos was voting because he had been seated for Mr. Nelson, and Mr. Poplawski was not voting. So I would move to amend the minutes of the December 27th, 2021 regular meeting to reflect that change. Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Langlois. Any discussion on the motion to amend the minutes of the December 27th regular meeting? Hearing none, a yes will amend, a no will not.
Charlie Langlois, yes.
Mr. Rice,
John Rice, yes. Peter Crosby, yes.
Mr. Hill,
Alvin Hill, yes. Mike Grove, yes. Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
John D. Lindsay, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes. Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Item 6B, January 24th, 2022. These were not approved at our February meeting. Ms. Salsi had a concern. Ms. Salsi?
Yes, I wondered, I found the area in the video on town, 2 hours, 4 minutes and 7 seconds in is where that statement was made that citizens do not have the right to be heard. And I believe that that needs to be put into the minutes.
And
2 hours, 4 minutes and 7 seconds.
yeah, and do you recall which section of the meeting that was?
I want to say it was 7. I want to say, I neatened up my notes and I left that one at home. I think it was 7, but I mean, 2 hours and. Is it, can you see it?
Um,
I mean, my question is it will be put into the minutes, correct?
so yeah, so certainly we can make a motion to approve with that amendment. Again, what's the timestamp again, please?
2 hours, 4 minutes and 7 seconds, and I'm making a motion to amend those minutes and include this statement in there.
Is there a second to approve as amended? Seconded by Mr. Williams. Any discussion on the motion?
Chairman, was that part of citizens' comments or was it an agenda item?
It was not citizens' comments. It was made by a member of the board.
But was the discussion that was being held on an agenda item or is it on an agenda item where that comment was made?
The way that comment was made was during the commissioner's comments.
So during,
Commissioner comment,
During commissioner comments, I believe.
that's the end of the meeting.
No, well, all I know is that I know who said it, I know when it was said, and it was not during citizens' comments.
So if it wasn't during, if I may, if it wasn't during citizens' comments, then as you know, the FOI that you attended the other day is that citizens do not have a right to make comments on agenda items when the commission is speaking.
Mr.
The only
Rice,
time they have comments is during citizens' comments or the 2 citizens' comments that we have.
Mr. Rice, it was not made by a citizen. It was made by a board member.
That's what I'm saying.
And it was not during citizens' comments. I can tell you exactly when it happened. It was back and forth between you and me.
Yeah, I know.
And
that.
that comment was made and it needs to be put into the minutes. And it was not
something that should be left out because it was a very important statement that was said, and I didn't want to bring up your name, and I didn't the last time that I brought it up. I respect you, but that needs to be put into the minutes because that affects what happens to every single one of these
And
people
Ms.
in this
Elsey,
room.
excuse me, Ms. Elsey, so do you remember to what agenda item it was pertaining to?
No, when I asked what to do about this, you told me I had to go through and find out where it was, and that's what I did. I did not realize that I had to go find the spot. If you want to table this, I can go back and look at it again and find it. But I was told that I needed to find the minutes and where it was. And that's what I did.
No, we're just trying to
Can
get
I
an
ask
act.
a
Mr.
question?
Chairman,
Can I ask a
Ms.
question?
Elsey and then Mr. Rice.
Okay. The minutes of the meetings and the FOI, I've used FOI for 30 years. I understand what FOI is. I don't care what some other board does. I don't care what legally can be put in and doesn't have to be put in. I want to see this board go above what is right and put in what is right and what is said at these meetings. So it gives a true consensus of what happens with these boards. If you go in and you listen to minutes of a meeting and something like that is left out, it's a pretty important statement when it's said the citizens don't have the right to be heard. I believe that we should be a step above that. We're here for the town. We're not here for ourselves, at least I'm not. And we should be a step above. And when somebody makes a statement that the citizens should not be heard, that is a huge slap in the face to the voters of this community. So that's why I went and I looked and went through 2 hours of it. The second question I have on this minutes, how are the minutes done? Now, Gloria tapes them. Does she get the tapes from Tira or does she use her own tapes when she does the minutes of the meetings?
I don't know the answer to that question at this time.
Do you know?
Why would I know?
Because I've done some research and I found out a few things that it's not the way I've usually had minutes of the meetings done at my meetings that I've held. The secretary is the one that does it. They don't come from somebody else's recording. So I'm just curious.
So I mean, I would just say both recordings are our recording, right?
Yes,
Whether
yes.
it's the,
Yeah.
you-
But I'm still digging into some things because I've got a few questions about that and how they end up with Gloria and how they're transcribed before she even gets them. So that is my question. I'm here to do what is right for the voters of this town, and this is infuriating. And if I don't get it right the first time around, I'm sorry. If I didn't put the space down, I put the hour, I put the minutes, and I put the seconds. And I believe this is something that needs to be put into the minutes, especially when it's something that important where somebody said citizens don't have a right to be heard. And I also want to know the procedure of these minutes and how they get to Gloria and how she does them up.
Thank you, Ms. Elsey. Mr. Rice and then Mr. Blackburn.
just a question, Ms. Did you indicate that you didn't necessarily care about the legality of our following our regulations? It's just that it depends on what the citizens are saying?
No, that's not what I meant. I mean above and beyond what FOI requires. I should have stated that much more clearly. What FOI is a guideline. I want to be above it up.
It isn't a guideline.
Yes, it is. You can do, if you want to put something in, you don't have to say like leaving out the comments. It can go in. It is a guideline for what your rights are as to what you can do. I say we go above and beyond it and put in what is right for the citizens of this town.
Mr. Blackburn.
You were at the meeting last week.
Yes.
The fellow leading the FOI
Yes,
said that the people attending the meeting, unless it's a public hearing.
Yep.
Or during citizen comment, don't have the right to speak.
Yep.
Okay, so I thought that answered your question. But
now, if you take a look a little bit farther into FOI, it is up to the discretion of the board, okay? FOI is a guideline. I've used them for 30 years. I know what can be done and what can't be done. They are giving you an out. I'm saying we don't take that out, that we put in the things that the citizens say, because that gives them, I mean, he literally said the only thing that has to be put into the minutes is how we vote. That doesn't tell you anything about what goes on in these meetings. You may do it, not shall. I learned that, may and shall. I believe that these meetings should be as accurate as possible as to what goes on. I believe the citizens of this town have the right to be heard. I also agree that yes, we do have to limit it, which we are doing. Cindy clocks everything every 3 minutes. But I do believe that the citizens, when they go to look at what's put on the town page as minutes of any meeting of any board in this town, need to see what really happened instead of just what's chosen to be put into the minutes. Because it doesn't give a true picture, and that's what I'm going for, the truth.
And just, Mr. Rose, I get you, I just, the motion on the table is to approve the minutes of the January meeting with an amendment at the 2 hour and 4 minute and 7 second. Mr. Williams.
I just want to say, I sat in on that FOIA meeting. And it seems like that's all they want to do is govern the people more than not give anybody a voice. And that's not right.
Ms. Halsey.
What, to correct what you said, FOIA is a guideline. It doesn't mean the law. That's where I was going with that. You can choose to put things in the minutes. As a board, we can choose to put things in the minute that are accurate and truthful as to what went on. If you choose not to do that, yeah, you can fall under the FOIA and you'll be covered. But I don't work that way. I want the truth out there. That's all I'm saying.
Any further discussion on the motion to approve the January 24th, 2022 minutes as amended? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve with the amendment. Mr. Poplawski.
So I'll make a motion that we should listen to 2 hours and 4 minutes in before we vote on accepting that. I'll make that motion.
So there's a motion on the table already to approve as amended.
That means all of us are going to do it, right?
I know I am. I'm for transparency as myself.
Thank you.
So, but I can't vote without listening to
Okay,
what
2
the
hours.
context was, what, it just to be fair. I understand your concern.
Well, then we can I retract my motion. We will table it. I make a motion to table it until the next meeting so that that'll give you a chance and anybody else that wants to listen to it so that we can get it correct.
It's 2 hours.
2 hours
4 minutes and 7
and
seconds.
7 seconds. And it's like I kept going back and back and back. So check that out.
Ms. Halsey has withdrawn her motion and moved to table the approval of the January 24th, 2022 minutes till the April regular meeting. Is there a second?
What meeting was
It
that
was
for?
the December, the January 24th, 2022.
Motion has been made to table the approval of the January 24th, 2022 minutes till the April meeting, made by Ms. Halsey, seconded by Mr. Krogel. Is there any discussion on the motion to table? Hearing none, a yes will table, a no will take other action. Ms. Langlois.
What was it, a yes or?
Yes will table.
Yes. Charlie Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Postman.
Alvin Hill, yes. Mike Kogo, yes. Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
John Beelan, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Item 6C, February 28th, 2002, regular meeting minutes.
Move to be accepted as part of.
I got something to say about the man.
Okay, Mr. Williams?
Where did I? When we were on the.
Page, Joe.
It's page 7. Where it says that I asked contractor, the developer of the open space, it said that, the developer stated that it was part of the development. All he said it was that there was gonna be trails out there. Never said nothing about, open space or any of that. Actually, it looked like there were headlights in the eyes when I asked him about that.
That would, that would, that,
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Audette.
okay.
So, Ray, so what are you saying about the minutes now?
I asked, like on the,
What you asked is if the.
on the La Valley, like on the La Valley thing where he's giving property back to the
Oh.
town.
It's open space, yeah.
Right, so I asked if he was doing the same thing.
He stated that it's part of the development. Right? What's in the minutes?
Right.
And you wanted to say what?
Well, I just don't, that, he didn't say it was part of the development. He didn't say any of that.
But that's, so you want that deleted?
Yes,
That's in the minutes?
yes.
So should, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm just.
Okay, yep, yep.
But
Well,
Ray
thank you,
Williams-
because
Ray Williams-
I'm new at this, so
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
I think that, the developer stated that it was part of the development should be deleted out of there.
Okay, Ray Williams asked if the open space would be given back to the town. And probably the developer did not answer the question.
All he said was that, that they would have
That
to,
was part of the
that they might be able to work something in, is what it's exactly what Mr. Audette said.
Were you making that motion, John, or were you suggesting that motion?
No, it's his motion, but I was just kind of trying to get clarified, reading what was said in the minutes. What do you want to delete it or add it?
I will second the motion to delete because it seems.
Yes,
there's
I'll make a
something-
motion that should be deleted because he did not state that.
And I'll second that
He
motion.
didn't really.
Okay, the motion has been made to strike and developer stated that it is part of the development. And made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Salsi. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Blackmer.
Only to say that that was a preliminary discussion and we certainly have a chance to address this if when he comes back. with
Right,
a-
but it's still wrong in the minutes.
I'll take your word for it. I don't remember exactly. I know there was a question was discussed whether who was the developer before them. The question whether that was the same land that Perlmutter
Correct.
had submitted before. And so, but that had all come out when he makes the official or makes the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Blackmer. Any further discussion on the motion? The motion has been made to amend the minutes with the strikeout of and developer stated that it is part of the development. A yes will strike that, a no will keep it as is. Mr. Blackmer,
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Lenke,
Jane Salsi, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Mike Kruger, yes.
Oliver Hill, yes.
Dick Wolfie, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Ellie Langley really wasn't here, and so I'm saying no, just because I would want to hear the other person, so
you can abstain as well.
Abstain.
that's perfect.
Okay, Ms. Langlois abstains, and Joseph Kurdy Brown, yes. Any other amendments to these minutes? Hearing none, I will move approval as amended, seconded by Mr. Williams. Any discussion on the approval as amended of the minutes of the February 28th, 2022 meeting? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve as amended, a no vote will take other action. Ms. Langlois.
Shelley Langlois.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Pelkey.
Over Hill, yes. Mike Ogle, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsi, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The minutes are approved as amended with Ms. Langlois abstaining. Item 6D, February 17th, 2022, special meeting minutes from the web. The subdivision subcommittee meeting. I will move approval of the February 17th minutes.
This is just for the subcommittee meetings,
Yes.
right? Okay.
What day was that?
February 17th.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? Thursday? I think I was in on that one. Yes, I'll approve it, but that's the, I know I got, there's two I know of. That was
Was
early
that
part
a
of it.
second, Mr. Lenke?
Seconded.
Thank you, Ms. Salsi. Motion made by the chair, seconded by Ms. Salsi. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, yes will approve, no will not approve, abstain. An option as well. Mr. Blackman.
I'm gonna abstain. I can't remember which one I missed.
Mr. Lenke,
I'm gonna abstain too.
Ms. Salsi,
Seems I was there. How about yes?
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Krogel,
Abstain.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Popowski.
I'm gonna abstain. I didn't listen to the web, see the web or anything, so.
John
Mr.
Rice, abstain.
Shelley Langlois abstain.
and Joseph Perotti Brown, yes.
Not enough, there's too many abstentions.
Yes, so let's
That's not passed.
revisit these for our next meeting.
Just have to get the roll call, see who's really there.
I would suggest then tabling the remainder. Move the, so I move the tabling of the of items E, F, G, and H under section 6 to our April meeting. Motion made and seconded by Mr. Rice. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will table, a no will take action tonight. Ms. Langlois.
Shelley Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Pelkey.
Over Hill, yes. Mike Ogle, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsi, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Item 7, applications. Planning and Zoning Commission application 22-07. Applicant Jessica Deary, property owner Sean Deary, 377 Brandy Hill Road, map 141, block 17, lot 49, zone Lake District. Request for a seasonal country inn bed and breakfast.
All you're doing is accepting this for a public hearing, for next month, and when you accept that, then I send them there first.
I make a motion.
And I review the application.
I make a motion.
I'd second that. Took a ride down there, yeah.
Motion made by Mr. Poplawski to accept application 22-07 for a public hearing, seconded by Mr. Blackmer moments before Mr. Williams. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will set the public hearing on April 25th, 2022 for application 22-07. Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Jane Salsi, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Mike Ogle, yes. Over Hill, yes.
Dave Pelkey, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Shelley Langlois, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Application 22-08, applicant Strategic Commercial Realty, DBA Rawson Materials, applicant property owners Lynn Rawson Landry, and Cheryl Jane Fauché, 0 Aquatic Town Road, Farm Road, map 145, block 14, lot 14, zone 40 gravel operation renewal. permit.
David
That
Howell's
needs to be
on,
fixed.
Zoom? Not in. Oh, okay. Just in the packet, Cindy, because I can pull it up on the screen for. No, this isn't because it came in afterwards. This is the site plan side. Places, you saw the pictures, right?
Yeah.
They were in your packet. There are pictures. Aren't they just wrong, but?
You have enough, or I can.
Oh, no, I have plenty.
Taking out another 30,000 cubic yards
This is
They-
a continued.
out of what they've already done.
Well, it's a total of 100 and,
Right, they only got 30 and 60,000 continuous.
that was last year.
So
yeah.
it's an extension of the permit?
Yes.
Okay,
That's all it is.
okay.
They have to do it every year.
Okay.
Whatever year, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you want to bring the pictures up.
Pay attention.
Want to read it to me again?
As the project is going on beautiful, they have their silt fences in.
Just make sure you can all hear Cindy, please.
That view is from the gate on Town Farm Road. That's the first pond. They did extend it from the last year. And it moved over a little bit. They cleared and filled it. And go ahead to the next one. So you see that mound of sand after the pond? That's basically what's left of them having to excavate. So they probably are going to be there for another year. But that area is what they have left to do. And just want to go back to that, I just wanted to explain to the new members. The land that they're excavating that's in Thompson, you see the pole there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the land over to the right. Anything left of that is in Putnam.
Okay.
So that's the border, basically the border of Thompson and Putnam. So they're just excavating over there. That here now they have a parking lot, they have a soccer field. You know, they're taking care of the land according to what their end intention is, to have a sports field out there.
So it's a sports field. Well, how much loam do they have to put back in after they've done this?
We'll know when they finish it next year, because that's that part right there, that sandy part.
Yeah.
That's the part that they're gonna have to
That's gonna be
loom.
pond down there.
Well, there's a second pond there.
Okay.
It's smaller than that one, but that will be determined next year when they.
Because I've seen a couple of places that have been what I call strip mining. It might not be the same vernacular, right vernacular, but it destroys the land. And I don't believe that they do enough to put the land back so that the soil even stays. It gets washed away in storms and stuff.
I don't think you're gonna see that on this piece of property, again, because there's gonna be, you know, again, it goes back to that last pile back there, the darker pile. And, it's just pristine. And I think that they're, you know, when they finish it, and we go out and do the measurements for the final phase and the loom.
And also
Etc.
rock and materials, putting in the grass and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a couple other places that they put the grass in, but because there wasn't enough loam brought in, the grass, I mean, it just literally got washed away. It looks like a barren land now. So I'm just asking because I, need to understand what they're doing.
In the original, when they made the original application, how much room you need, but don't ask me to.
Okay.
Mr. Santos.
I think this was, I'm remembering now.
They just,
Mining operation.
just making a pond. Okay.
I don't know if that second pond's gonna get any bigger.
Not sure. I just know there's no room.
Okay, so they're just basically taking out what they want and making it into a pond.
There's two ponds, but I think in the middle of those two ponds is going to be
Might be some.
some grass area. The large one. But no, there's no colored one. It's just a situation year after year. But what it's done.
So you think that it's gonna take them another year to complete this?
They have their silk fences, I think just since. You can go ahead, Chair, please. I wasn't planning on doing this, sorry, guys. David's gonna be here there. That's, that's the depth of the gravel operation right there. A little bit to the right, you can see the pond. I really didn't take that good of a picture of the second pond. I apologize for that. Go to the next one. That's the
Okay.
pond.
Okay.
That's the second pond. There's a silt fence behind there.
It all looks good.
Oh, it's
Doing
beautiful.
a great job.
It's beautiful. And it needs to be because it's gonna be a sports field afterwards.
Yeah, so that would.
And recreation.
Sports field, so
Yeah.
that basically
Yeah.
don't have to put anything back in to make it look presentable, because it's gonna be a field.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr., oh, go ahead,
Go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Rice.
No, just to answer her question, in our regulations will cover what they have to do to reclaim that land upon
Okay,
the finish of the mining operation.
Okay.
So if you get a chance, read the reg.
okay.
Mr. Williams?
Make a motion that we approve this application and let them pull the rest of it out.
So when you read the regs, you have to read the regs before 2020, because they are renewing under the previous regulations.
Okay.
And there's just one more picture of the site silt
Yeah.
fence, but yeah, it's, like I said, yeah, that's toward the right.
I'll second Mr. Williams's motion.
Motion has been made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Mr. Rice to approve application 22-08, the gravel operation renewal permit. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve the renewal, a no will deny. Ms. Langlois?
Charlie Langlois, yes.
All right, yes.
Jim Wolfski, yes. Mike Eagle, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
John Beelan.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. The renewal is approved. Application 22-09, applicant Joshua Perrin, property owner Christopher Kelly of 690A Riverside Drive, map 6394, block 94A, lot 2, zone downtown Mill Rehabilitation District. Request for home occupation for home office and off-site motor repair.
So Josh is here, and I included his little letter that he gave to me and signed, explaining what he wants to do. Before he gets up to explain what he wants to do, I just want to let you know why I made the decision as a zoning enforcement officer to request that the zoning commission approve this application. It has to do with repairs of motor vehicles, and it's more elaborate than what we approved a couple of years ago on Willow Road. All that gentleman was doing, taking AAA calls and doors that are locked, tires that are flat. He is going to be a little bit more extensive than that. And his is basically going to be a subcontractor. Plus, he's going to make himself available, do that call, somebody needing help. And he can fill you in if I make any mistakes about what he's doing. What I had asked him to do, because car repair in your community here is very controversial. And I just don't want him, I'm doing this for him to protect him from any careless complaints about what he's doing. And, but I did ask him to call the state, the motor vehicle department, license department. And I'll let him tell you about that. But basically he came up with Zippo from the state. So I just felt like because of the type of business it is, because of the potential complaints, maybe somebody might be calling me up and saying, there's this guy in the back of the house, and you know, the house is right on Riverside Street, is one of the brick apartments there. And people are gonna go, you know, he's got all this equipment out there, gloves. So we want to protect him. We want to make sure that he has the proper home occupation permit to continue his business. Josh, I'm gonna hand it over to you. Sure, stand up and your name and your address.
My name is Josh Barrett, 698 Riverside Drive. So, as you can see in my letter, my main purpose for this application is to be a subcontractor for my previous employer, trucking company. So he doesn't want to put me back on the books. He wants a 1099. I need to have permit and DBA. And then if approved, I'd like to do brakes on the side. You know, just simple things, not motor, full transmission jobs, nothing like that in, driveways, because that's essentially what I'll be doing, hand tools, so lifts. things like that.
Tell them about what happened when you called the state.
Oh, yes, so I called the state to get information, and it was anything on the list of options to choose from was just licensing for, motor vehicles. So I went on, I looked for, mobile repair specifically, licensing for that, because in the state of Connecticut, you have to be a licensed repair facility, open up brick and mortar building to service the but I could not find anything that's specific to mobile repair. And then, when I did finally get into something, because I was just gonna try to go with the option of discussing it as like a location to fix everything, they said I need a DBA from the town. So it was gonna be this big cycle. And then I called 3 numbers and they all led to the same option for, driver's license. and IDs and stuff.
So basically, you couldn't get through to them. You couldn't get votes.
Yeah,
Good
surprise,
far.
surprise.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the applicant, Mr. Blackmer?
You're gonna be doing this work wherever the vehicle is, not at your place, is that correct?
Correct.
So really, all we really need to do is acknowledge that your office is gonna be in your apartment.
Correct.
So my concern is not only that, somebody might think he has product material and cars and stuff in the back of the property. The other concern is that he does go to somebody's private property. And then somebody calls me up and say, there's a guy repairing a motor vehicle on this property. And then when, I find out who the person is doing it, I say, oh, he has a home occupation permit to do mobile auto repair. So it protects him when he's going on that other person's property.
And I also have garage keepers insurance. which
I was
covers
just gonna
me.
say, you've got insurance that'll
Yes, I
cover
have
you,
liability,
yeah.
yes. Liability garage keepers.
Just Mr. Rice and then Mr. Williams.
What home is that? I don't know which one.
Right across from the
I
package
border
store.
Tish. Yeah, he owns the mill that didn't get knocked down. And then
Okay, so that's the first brick one?
first brick one.
Rather than, because there's two of them
There's
there.
none on the end.
Yeah, okay,
No.
no,
Oh,
the
bright red one.
there's two of them there, Cindy, that's why I don't know which one it was.
No.
All right,
Mr. Williams?
So on here, it says on-site, repairs, that's not on your site.
No, it's on their site.
That's why I called it offsite.
Okay, I probably,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I hear you.
That's why they.
Yeah, that's why I said,
break up, there's a lot of
yeah.
kids that live right
Yeah.
Yeah. no,
it says, I think, at customer residence.
Mr. Poplawski?
So, Mr. Kelly is fine with you.
Yes,
Home
I actually have a
occupation.
notarized letter from
The
him.
letters here.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Halsey?
So you are going to have your vehicle that you will use, that will have all your tools in it, that you will go to the site where the vehicle is broken down, correct? Now, that vehicle will be on your property by the apartment, correct?
Yes, it's my commuter vehicle.
Okay,
so it's-
Will it have the name of your business on that vehicle?
I'm not moving the advertising.
Okay, that's where I was going. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hill?
Mr. Parent, these small engine repair, correct, means oil and gas.
Correct.
How, use oil?
Use
Oh, you-
oil,
have
I can be,
I know the state regular.
right, so, now I can need, I don't know. I am not gonna use oil. It would be up to the property owner to dispose of their, parts, because I'm not gonna supply parts for any of these repairs. Because then I would need a retail permit, because I'd be buying and selling parts, so it's up to the person that calls me to have, I go diagnose and they tell me, I tell them what they need. They supply the parts, I supply the.
Ms. Halsey?
Okay, so you're not going to get rid of any of the oils, that is going to be their responsibility?
Yes.
Because I do know that there are some heaters that use used oil, which, and I wondered
So we
whether
caught
that,
and stored in a proper container.
yeah,
I work for a water treatment facility in town. I not one resolution, so, I try to keep everything clean, very neat and orderly, so.
Mr. Rice?
Everybody's done. I'll make a motion to approve the home occupation permit of 2209.
And I second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Ms. Salsi to approve the home occupation application 22-09. Any further discussion on the motion?
Is it too much to ask? Want to write up like a description of what activities that apply to this application, instead of a record document?
No, that would be fine. You can make that as a condition and
That'd be enough.
Is that what it says right there?
Yeah. I was gonna mention. Some part of the home occupation.
I just think there's some very specific things that I've seen that I wouldn't mind having like specific documents, like. Send it out.
Well, yeah, so I think something like what you just said about, not bringing, material to the property, not purchasing for the person and leaving the oil there and making it, I think, but yeah, I would like to see that.
There's a lot of times that part of like perception is we're doing things wrong, so if we have a description for future events that we come in here, document it clearly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's, you are gonna go do the stuff, but they're buying the stuff. It's not like you're a washing machine repairman who brings the parts. You're going in with nothing. So if you clarify that you are not bringing the parts in, they are gonna get
Or
them.
having cars come to your.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
okay.
And I group of voters come on. Already the city to review and approve that application, right?
Yeah, and that would be a condition of the, and when you bring that approval, I attach that permit.
So, Mr.
Amend my motion to include.
Mr. Rice amends
description of
his
activity.
motion to include that condition of a description of activity submitted to Ms.
And I'll
Dunn.
second it.
Second as amended. Mr. Popowski?
So you're in contact with the Department of Motor Vehicle License? So you have to get a license? This is the first step for you to get some sort of an approval?
So if they only specified, locations like a mechanic shop, like, Thompson Auto Care.
Yeah.
So, there's no specific mobile mechanic guideline in there. There's no application to
Okay.
be a mobile mechanic.
I thought you needed this approval to go back to them to get.
No, that's
some
the,
sort of a
that was
license.
the only information that I could find was, I tried to like go through with that and then re-specify with them to get an appointment. But when I called the number supplied, it brought me back to this
Sure.
main generic number.
Okay.
And that's why I asked him to call, to see
Yeah.
if he did need
Ms. Salsi?
So basically, you just need an LLC, correct?
No.
No.
It would be
Doing business as,
DBA,
okay,
correct.
DBA, okay.
DBA.
DBA, okay, all right, so that way covers everything that you would be doing.
Right, it covers me, it covers the customer.
Okay.
So,
And he doesn't have to really register with the state revenue.
So just because again, we have two new members here and they actually have not dealt with the home loans. What happens with the people going into business is they go to the bank and they want to set up a checking account and they want a DBA. And so the bank asks them for the trades at town hall. And so they go over to town clerk and the town clerk asks them for their home occupation.
Okay.
So that's,
Okay, so
that's
those
the
are
cycle,
steps.
yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes will approve application 22-09 with condition. A no will pursue other action. Ms. Langlois?
Charlie Langley, yes.
Dave Flosky, yes.
Mike River abstain.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsi, yes.
John B. Lankey, yes.
Randy Blackmer, full disclosure, Christopher Kelly is my grandson. He rents, Josh rents the apartment from him, but I vote yes.
And Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Thank you, Mr. Parent.
So what you do is I'm not in on Tuesday, so you can get that list to me Wednesday and get your home estimate.
Thank you very much. Item 8, application received after agenda posted. Ms. Dunn. I live and breathe. This is my first one ever.
Webster Lake Real Estate. They're remodeling, so it is it's a site plan. I just got it Friday, it came in Friday, so. It's a site plan review with permission. I just quoted the regulation there. Janet will, she knows it came in late, so she will come next month and ask for, show the site plan and ask for approval. So I just want to let you know it came in. You'll be getting more information on that. So you don't have to do anything with it, it's just that we.
Yeah, so this will be on the agenda of the April 25th meeting. Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Item 9, reports of officers and staff. The 9A, planners report.
The big thing, obviously, is continuation of work on the subdivision regulations update, which continues to go really, really well. The conversations continue to be good and substantive. We are through Article 4, Section 5, which is the erosion and sediment control section. The topic or topics up for discussion this Thursday evening are open space requirements for subdivision and conservation subdivisions, which are two very closely aligned topics. They are big topics. I'd like to be able to get through both of them in the 2-hour stretch on Thursday, and I would certainly encourage all the members who are available to dial in, because that's probably one of the most important pairs of topics in the entire document. And that's it. We're still on good pace, and we'll keep going till we're done with the second pass through, and then we'll pursue that strategy that we discussed, which is putting together, releasing that draft and then having it available for public comment, written public comment to receive, so that I can receive them, compile those, plus whatever other outstanding comments I have into a discussion guide to bring to the full commission to a regular meeting to discuss that second draft, which is, I would say you could probably at that point call it the 90% draft. And then you guys can further discuss, and we'll go through the whole shebang, the public hearing process, yada, 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 and with luck, will be adopted 2030. No, not 2030. I think we can still probably pull it in by the end of the fiscal year, but if it's off by a month or two, we'll still have made good time. What I got?
Item 9B, ZEO memo. We've received the memo and cited it in several discussions already. Any questions for Cindy?
Yeah, I don't think, what's in my memo is coming up, two things coming up.
Item C, Town of Thompson budget reports, January 2022.
Everybody received it in their packet. Any question, we expended 63.8% of our budget this year so far.
Grace, and item 9D, the updated members list to correct Alvin's phone number. Item 10, correspondence. Any question on these items of correspondence that we received in our packet?
Chairman,
Mr.
item
Rice.
D, sending the T-Mobile edition. The fuel container, is that all one unit,
Yeah.
that generator, okay?
Yes,
You don't have a separate tank somewhere?
No,
Okay.
no, I talked to him,
Thank you,
and
Mr. Rice.
the fences are there. And
Okay.
Any other questions about the correspondence? Item 11, signing of Mylar.
Okay, so I made
There
it.
is none. Item 12, old business, the land use training seminar. I was like, does she have a Mylar? I'm like, it's a small one. It's a mini Mylar.
Spreadsheet for, your training programs, and I know there was 2 so far. And so I'm gonna pass it around, and please sign up. I put the 2 here. And please sign up if you went to it, so that we can fill up your hours at the end of the year. Make sure you have your 4 hours.
Yeah, so Cindy's just looking to, an easy way to track this
But we
for
have
us.
until the end of 2023, correct?
So,
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, but if you do it by the beginning, you're way.
I
ahead.
know, I know. Fun, fun. Yeah, fun.
While that is being passed around, move on to item 13, new business, 4 Watson Road, non-conforming use.
Okay, so this is another, another question of, I'm just rereading my memo here, and I didn't make a correction. Presently, 4 Watson Road is now in a rural residential agricultural district. Before, it was a commercial building used by Kenyon Oil, owned by Global. I believe contractor between all these years when Kenyon left, used it for storage and, you know, worked out of that building, et cetera. A matter of fact, I think it was Bill Healy that somebody had told me the other day that he had owned it. Anyways, so it's empty and they're trying to sell it. And I've had many, many requests in here, and the request that came in was, I'm sorry, what was your name again? Michelle, and so they would like to know if they can use it as an office and storage space, and then put some storage units on there. So you can get up and go ahead and explain the rest of it, and this would be under the non-conforming regulation.
Yes, I know.
So hi, Michelle Thompson. We live at 42 Mason Road in Dudley, and we're exploring options for purchasing this property on Watson Road. And our thought is that we'd like to try to put some metal self-storage units on the property that are put on a slab and not prefab, but shipped to the site and built on site. And that's what we would like to try to use the property for. It's kind of a passive business that people, you know, it's not like you have people coming and going constantly. You drop your stuff off, they come back, you know, next month, whenever. So we think that that's a less intensive use than the cement truck business that had previously been using it. So we're hoping that as a non-conforming lot, that in a less intensive use might be allowed to do that type of business there. And then the front of the existing building right now is pretty yucky looking, really. So my husband and I have done business in the town of Thompson before. I own property here. I went to school here, and we've done some properties and turned them around and helped to beautify areas and things like that. So we would spiff up that building and stuff, although it would really just be used for me to take my stuff out of storage somewhere and put it into that building, so I don't have to pay for storage anymore. But we'd like to use the back of the property and the flattened out area to do the storage units.
Just as a note here, there's 2 things. One is I happen to have to go to someone on Green Acres Lane. It was for a home occupation. Yeah, sure. It was for a home occupation permit, and it's a nice quiet neighborhood, as everybody knows that neighborhood up there. You know, the little smaller lots that used to be.
They were built in 1964.
Yeah, right. So I asked the gentleman, I said, what do you see as the kind of business that would go into that building, Kenyon building? And before Michelle had come to me, someone else had asked for storage units there. And I had mentioned that, and the person said, yeah, that's a quiet business. You know, they wouldn't have any issue with that. The other thing to remember with that is that the previous owner had a lot of equipment parked in those areas that they want to use. And so that would be part of the non-conforming business if they had equipment in there. Third, there was 3, I'm sorry, Jane.
Okay.
The third issue, and Michelle is well aware of this, is that both that property and their other property in 131 had oil tanks removed. And they were removed before the state statute said that you had to have testing done before you could continue. So, what I'm requiring is a soil test on the property before I sign anything off. And I've told every single person who's called the office that that's what I'm requiring for me to sign off on any work on that. those buildings. Sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I know that place very well. I literally live on Green Acres Lane. How many units are you looking to put in there after?
Well, so there's setbacks around, so ultimately, we would send our site plan into the company and they lay out the best way to get as many units as you can on there.
Ballpark number, do you have one?
Less than 100, I think. It's a 30-foot building with a 20-foot road in between, so we're thinking more like 65 units, 66, maybe 70. I don't know what they'll tell us. We don't know if
Yeah.
even that number is too high because we're not really proceeding with sending a site plan into anyone to try to tell us the best way to lay something like that out until we know whether it's even doable through the town. We're not
Yeah, I
really.
mean, the only reason why I'm asking this is I know that road and I know it well. I've been almost killed there several times. That little knoll that's right where the railroad tracks used to be. I've seen cars come over there airborne. And I have been hit once, and I know other people that have been hit, and I'm concerned about the extra traffic in that area. Right now where the building is, the driveway, if you're facing the front of the building, the driveway is to the left of that building. My concern is there any way you could do that to the right of the building? The line,
building
property
sets
line
right
is
on
there.
the line, yeah.
Okay.
And the good thing though, I agree, there is that knoll
It's-
there. However, the driveway that you're talking, it's not a quick turn in. It's a huge kind of triangle.
Oh, no,
pad.
I've lived there for 40 years.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it does allow people to get off the road fairly quickly on, depending
Yeah.
on what way you're coming
Yes.
from. But from coming headed up that knoll, you can pull into there fairly easily and then.
I'm more concerned about the ones coming over the knoll and somebody pulling out and going down Watson Road and trying to head towards Dudley. You can't,
Oh, you mean
yeah,
people coming out,
yes,
being
yeah.
slammed by someone
Yeah.
coming out.
And I am concerned about the the soil quality, because I do know there were tanks in there. At one point, I heard there was leakage. I'm not sure whether that's factual or not, but that's something I would like to have information. I'm all for business, absolutely. I just want to make sure that it doesn't make that area congested any more than it already is. You've got two roads, 2 Green Acres Lane that come out. So you've got 3 entrances and exits within 1/8 of a mile of each, and not even, it's shorter than that. And I just want to make sure that there's not a whole lot of congestion. So, but you cannot put that driveway to the right of the building as you're facing it. That's the property
Yeah, so
line.
I can show you the.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was solid. And Mr.
Yeah.
I used to run around when I was a kid.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Poplawski?
It's
Cindy,
worse now.
I was not sure on the non-conforming and what it does. I like I think the idea is great, first of all, I just want to state that. But how does the non-conforming, because the building is so small, and no matter if we're looking at 25 units, or,
No,
That goes back along the river.
railroad tracks.
So Mr. Poplawski was just asking for.
So the way I'm looking at it, at the non-conforming regulation, is that if they did anything with that building, they could only they have to stay within the footprint and then only do 25% building. Because the previous business that was there had all kinds of equipment, and even up to recently, I think there was still equipment in there.
Up until about 2 or 3 weeks
Right,
ago,
right.
when the equipment left.
So I'm saying that portion of the property was used for business.
Okay.
Because they had all their equipment there. And did they do work behind there, Jane?
No, it was more of, I mean, minimum stuff was done, but it was storage where they stored their vehicles. There were a lot of vehicles in the back. It was not, they weren't doing work on
Right.
site.
Wasn't there like a fence? Isn't there like a
Yes,
fence
there
or
was a
something
fence,
there?
there's
Yeah.
part chain link, and then there's a
Yeah.
rickety old stockade fence
Right.
that's falling down.
Right.
They even stored some of their material that they pulled off jobs.
In the back,
Stored in
yeah.
the back.
Yeah.
Stockpile.
So-
Somebody was
so-
living there for a while too.
Yeah, let's let,
No comment.
Yeah.
just let Cindy finish and then,
Go ahead.
So I'm not clear on my question yet.
All right,
just so I can,
So
so
my
then,
feeling is that area that they want to put their storage unit, that was used as business.
okay.
So why can't they continue a business that's quieter, neater in the area where they stored all their equipment? But I didn't want to make that decision.
No, I mean, I just wasn't sure how the non-conforming, because the building footprint was so small, and then hearing the size of the,
Yeah.
say 40, anything's gonna be bigger than that building. Any kind of storage unit you build is gonna be bigger than that building.
Yeah, there'll be
So-
the metal runs on slabs, like typical storage units that you see everywhere.
Sure, I wanted to make sure that I understood that the non-conforming wasn't an issue. I like the concept, until we see some more definitive plans. But I just want to make sure the non-conforming was not gonna prohibit them from 30 or 60 or 50. So you answered my question. Thank you.
Mr. Rice.
Cindy, are you considering the complete site as non-conforming, correct?
I'm considering the building and the areas, and I'm visualizing the areas where, and mainly like in the back, where they store behind that fence, where they store their equipment, and some, they stored some on the side too. Before the, in front of the fence, do they?
Very rarely. There might have been a
Okay, all right,
couple of
so-
trucks that they drove that would be put in there. I went literally five times a day, so.
Okay, go ahead,
I'm
Mr.
sorry, I
Rice.
asked Jane the question, I apologize.
My question was the site, okay, if you could define the site, they can expand that by 25%. So until they come up with what they're gonna do, I think looking at the site itself, that you've determined that that is the non-conforming, not just the building. And I think it would be good. You'd have that area to work with.
I got Ms. Halsey
Or
and
you
then
could
Mr.
expand
Williams.
Okay,
it
well-
by 25%.
If you have something to say, go ahead.
So I'm just looking for clarification on that. So does that mean that we can only use 25% of the land back there? What does that
You can
mean?
expand it. In other words, if you have,
The building
I'm-
and
I'm-
back.
Just one at a time.
I'm trying to differentiate the difference between of non-conforming use just being the building. I'm saying that whole site that was used before is non-conforming. So if you take this block, now you can expand this block by 25%.
You're not
There's
just
like-
limited to that's what I was trying to
So
clarify.
if I just may,
The building
if I just
and
may
then
for a minute.
25% Above the building, which the building is a small footprint. So if we're considering the whole thing,
The whole,
then the 25%, it can do the whole thing. And the 25% really goes out, 25% goes out the window.
It's in your favor.
If
It's
it's
in your favor, yes.
That's what I
why
needed
was
to
trying
hear is the
clarify.
25% goes
Yeah,
out the
in your
window.
Yes.
Okay, that's good, because 25% doesn't make it a feasible business if you could only use 25%
No,
of the
it's in
area.
your favor.
Yeah.
Okay, cute. So my other thing that I would just add is that I do absolutely understand your concern with the traffic situation. But I do have to say that I do strongly feel that traffic going in and out of this storage area will be less intrusive than cement trucks coming and going, leaving at the beginning of the day and coming in at the end of the night. We'll have storage people. It's not like people, I don't know, I have storage I've had for 3 years that I've been, I go there every couple of months because I have to get my Christmas tree. But people typically put their stuff in storage and come back when they move and pick it up. It's not where they have to come in every month to pay their bill. It's not where the site would even be manned. It would be like an internet type of thing. I meet them there to assign a locker. It's not like 10 trucks coming and going every day. It would literally be traffic to those units, cars, or initial truck drop-offs.
Okay, and you will have the whole area fenced off and locked, correct?
No,
No.
would not. Again, we might do some type of screening at the front, like my husband, was talking about putting up a fence that would kind of pretty it up and hide it from the road. But I mean, as of right now, you can see through the chain link fence and see all the mess that's back there now. We don't envision having to fence in the entire property. There's a little self-storage business on Schofield Ave in Dudley. And
Yeah,
if we
I
took a
know.
ride by that to kind of see, kind of model after that. And it's a freestanding site where people can come and go as they please. Your units are locked with your lock. They have lights on and, that come on for motion and things like that, and they video record it. But I can't imagine us trying to afford to put a fence around, 600 feet of fencing around the building. So I can say on the left-hand side that there is a big privacy
Yeah.
hedge that you don't
Yeah.
even really see it from
Yeah.
there. And then other than the gate, the building blocks the view of the rest of it
From the front.
from the front.
So let's say if you had 100 units. Okay, so let's go 60. Let's go 60. If you had 60 units, how many cars would be in and out of there on a daily basis?
I don't know that number. Once they're all rented, I think
Depends how
it-
many people are getting thrown out of the house.
I don't have
I'll
any
be
type
there
of,
every other day, probably.
I don't have any type of statistics
I'll
on how often.
register
I don't know how often people come and go from storage areas. This is all new to us that we're just trying to explore. But I can imagine that it's not every single day people go into their units. If it were 10 cars a day, I would think that might be on the high side, but I have nothing to back that up.
I mean, that road is traveled a lot. There's a lot of people that actually walk that road. They actually walk the horseshoe and Green Acres Lane, and it's well, and the trucks that you mentioned, they went out in the morning, they were back in the night. I never even saw them move except on a couple of occasions. So that was not a problem, but my concern is the soil.
Nothing will happen until
Okay,
I have
So,
a test.
right, again, so we're not gonna start spending money on testing and things like that until we know this, and we're also not ready to do that because we're waiting to get, we're not even to the PNS for purchasing the property, that we're in the letter of intent, we signed on both sides, we're waiting for the PNS, and it's, once we sign the PNS, they will give us the disclosure, we have to sign a non-disclosure. Once we get all of that, then they will provide us with the site information and those things. And they may very well provide us with information that says, yeah, there's a giant oil pool underneath that ground and don't touch it.
that's it.
So we don't know what they're gonna disclose.
Okay.
But we're coming here to say, we're not gonna continue into PNS if you guys are gonna say, no way. It just is kind of a waste of our time to move forward. So that's what we're trying to do.
Mr. Williams?
Okay, I got a question. I'm not sure if it was to the left or the right of the building. There's like a trailer that looks almost like a modular house trailer.
Not on this property.
Okay, then.
No, that's on the right side of the building.
Okay, I just know in back of that, it just looks like,
Just a
yeah,
frame, yeah.
it looks like wetlands on, it looks like
what.
wetlands behind that, so I was just gonna say, you know.
No,
There's
there's
no
no wetlands there.
There's like
Oh,
a,
on the side of that trailer.
or is it wetlands down about another 100 feet towards the first house on the left?
Okay, well, I did see a big
I used
puddle
to
of water,
play
so I
baseball
just-
there.
I didn't know if it was that close to your property.
So I do just want to add that, since Don did walk me through the town hall, I got a nice little tour and took me to inland wetlands, so I got to meet Marla over there. She pulled it up on a computer. There are no wetlands to be concerned about. She also pulled up some, something website that did not have the property listed as a hazardous waste site or whatever that was. I do have a request into the Northeast District Department of Health for them to provide us with what they know of a location for the septic tank and a well. We found the well, which wasn't anywhere near, I know where the ladies at the septic system was, so clearly they're not side by side. The realtor that is the list agent, so we're still trying to ascertain where the well and the septic system is. We went to the building department and got information that, like Cindy said, that the tanks were removed. So we are trying to just kind of cover all our bases. I don't know back from NVDH yet. And then Cindy said about the soil samples, and we're willing to do that. And I think I have to talk to DEP, but I don't know how to get in touch with them, but I have to continue to look at that as well. So we are trying to check with everyone here to make sure that we're not, not going to come up to too much trouble if we try to go forward.
Yes.
I think you like the concept.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Lenke?
The property that they're talking about, I grew up on that property. I remember my father used to work there in Kenyon Oil.
Yeah.
So the only problem you're gonna have is that you're gonna have to have it tested. There were tanks in it, but they were above ground tanks.
No, there was two,
There were two underground towards the building.
underground there and one
And those were
underground.
for the tanks when they used to fill it for diesel fuel and everything, to fill the rigs, okay? But the tanks, 90% of the tanks were above ground. So when the trucks pull up in it, that's it. But where they pulled them out of the ground, that was just strictly for the equipment. So that, if anything, if they got pulled and everything in that path, that had to pass DEP. When you pull tanks
No,
out of
not
the ground.
at that time, it did not have to. That was in 1993 from the paperwork that we have. It was
1993? I'm surprised.
That's what
I'm
she said.
surprised.
Yeah, that's what the paperwork that-
1994, when the state statute, came that you actually had.
But I do know that majority of that land is gonna have to have protected anyway.
And so Cindy, so they're just looking for a general consensus. Okay, great.
So,
I think it's a good sign out.
Ms. Altsey.
yeah, get everything done. Let's see what you can do with it. Yeah, I mean, anything would look better than what's there right now.
I mean, I don't think I really need to vote on it. It's just that, if anybody ever questions,
Raise
we have
some
a recording of this, and, then I just go forward according to the regulations.
And we would have to file for a special permit for that, correct? Or no?
I was back to combine that with what the new regulations that district look like. So I don't have the answer.
I'll be back in your office. I got my little checklist and I'll get back with you.
Okay, all right.
I just want to make a general comment. About the regulation, big roads, non-conforming lots, opportunities such as.
Anything else for Mr. and Mrs. Thompson? Thanks very much. Item 14, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments at this time? Mr. Warner?
I just want to bring to your attention, nobody seems to remember, comments that Mr. Rice made at the January meeting were during old business, item number 11 on your agenda, and it had to do with updating your bylaws to add a second citizen comment, which I'm talking at right now.
Thank you, Mr. Warner.
I stand corrected, 11 instead of 7.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Signing the paper,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
if you want to have the paper, no, I'm just saying is, you should tell people that you have to sign the paper before you even start the meeting, you have to sign the paper.
But you do not have to sign the paper.
Well, that's not what.
The time when we came to speak and we were denied because we said we had to sign the paper, and then that's why I spoke on it. And then it was talked about, and then now you have another section here for it, where people could talk. But we tried to talk later because we were waiting for our topic to come. And we were told we could not speak because we didn't sign the paper. And we couldn't speak that day, and then when it was brought up the next time, Mr. Wright said, I don't care what they had to say. So that's why he's saying, he wanted to make sure we were doing correctly.
If you want to have people sign a paper, you have to tell them to sign the paper. Just try to say the thing.
Because we were told last time, we couldn't, because we didn't sign the paper.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I, since you've been in,
So just, so if you want to say something during
Just really
citizens,
fast,
if you want to
just-
say something during citizens or, I'm sorry, commissioners' comments.
okay, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll wait for commissioners' comments.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yes, we know Brian, on Lake Fabian Road. Got a question. I've heard, I like to deer hunt on my land. I got 18 acres. I heard something about I'm not gonna be allowed to, gut my deer and do the things that I need to do. Is that true?
so,
Is that something that you guys were thinking of doing, putting into your things? I'm just wondering.
yeah, no, so I appreciate the question. What I'm gonna let us do is respond to you during commissioners' comments. So generally, the citizens' comments are just that, comments, right? It's not generally a question and answer, but I do want to make sure you are, that in just in 2 items on the agenda, we will respond to that. Mr. O'Brien, thank you. If you could, any other comments? Mr. O'Brien.
I just wanted to list some guys. If I were you, and I've been in this position, or my parents were in this position before, before you go and make a deal with the people that you're trying to buy that from, I would get them to do the tax.
Well, they
How
are,
did they
supposed-
deal?
they are gonna
Very-
apparently supply us with a bunch more information after we sign the PNS, which gets us to a point of a non-disclosure, and then we have like 45 days to do due diligence and an additional 90 days to try to get permitting in place. So we have lots of different big chunks of time before we have to actually close on the purchase to allow us to do all that digging. Once we see what they're gonna give us for information, and then what we need to do based on that information. It may be a deal breaker once they give it to us.
Yeah, you don't
Depending on
know
what it
have
is.
the testing. It's just,
Yeah.
the testing is what spent, it's what it's about.
Yeah.
Cost my parents
Yeah.
$200,000.
Thank you.
Not a lot.
Well, so.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Oh, sorry
Romano.
about that.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Sir?
Tom Angelo, 640 Fabian Road. I grew up in that area all my life. Father worked there at Kenyon Oil, John Linke's father. I will tell you, Bill, I value you and your husband. I'm just telling you, you're going to throw good money at that. That soil is nasty. And my concern, because I live just down the road, is if there's any digging, I hate to see you guys in huge money get for remediation or whatever. Anything, even if you have to go down a foot, put a slab.
Yeah, it would just be slabs, but
There was
I don't know
the
what that.
tanks. John is right, there was either 5 or 6 tanks, we both been around there as kids. And there was actually 2 tanks that were in the ground. And I believe there'd be 5 or 6 that were airborne, and there was a. Both,
Actually, it was 9.
actually, I'm sorry, I
They'll take care of it.
Well, just get rid of the I'm supposed to be
No, you
addressed
get-
you.
Sure,
Whoever has to do the cleanup, I would put it, going as back on whoever owns the property right now. I would just hate to see a new business have that huge expense on their shoulders. Maybe it's something that I don't know if this can be done, but P and Z requires the sellers in good faith of potential buyers.
Thank you.
I only caught half of that, but others.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Is there any on the? Okay, hearing none. Item 15, review of ZBA applications. There was no March 14th, 2022 meeting. Item 16, commissioners' comment. Ms. Salsi.
Okay, to address what you had just said, we did get the format changed as far as how these meetings go. So that there are now 2 places in order for the citizens to speak, at the beginning and at the end. So it now gives you the ability to be able to talk about something that has been discussed during the whole meeting, which before that wasn't allowed. Okay, and I really wish you well, but Tommy Angelo, I watched him grow up. Just check everything out, double check, triple check, because I know that soil is not good. Please, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. and I wish you, yeah.
Any others? Mr. Lenke.
To the couple over here, yes, what Jane said, and everything, I grew up just like Tom did. Ran around that thing, dumped up and down the tank. As long as you stay above ground, by DEP, you can put in a slab, as long as you stay above, I think you can't go no less than a foot. But make sure you have that double check by DEP. NDDH is really not gonna help you that much in that department area.
This is gonna tell us where we shouldn't dig, so we don't hit a septic system if we get
Well,
to that.
that you're
That's
gonna-
what we're. looking
That,
for.
you're gonna end up have to find that out.
Right.
You're gonna have to dig it no matter what. The thing with that is, once you find it, you can correct that situation. And that would be a good thing. That's the only, you got no choice, the septic in the well.
Yeah, we just don't even know what the septic is. Although there's
I
only.
think the septic, oh, geez, no.
Oh, I remember where the septic was, and now
I gotta try to remember what part of the corner of the building, towards the long building, goes down in that area.
Okay.
But anyway, I would like to see you come in and do your thing with it. I'm for it, okay? But just me dealing with DEP over the years, construction and everything, that's one thing you gotta worry about, okay? Because that oil, like
I mean,
Mr. Angelo
and that was the
said,
concern looking at it. I mean,
as long
we
as you
knew
stay
that.
above the ground with a slab, who cares? You can even bring material in.
Well, I think we have to tell us that we have, they have to
Yeah,
tell us.
well, I'm just saying, DEP is gonna give you the specs.
Check everything.
Any,
DEEP or DEP?
DEEP, depth, it's called depth.
any other comments from the commissioners? Mr. Williams?
I would definitely follow up with what Brenda said and have the owners pay to have that check instead of you guys paying. Put that in your stipulation.
And we appreciate that suggestion. We don't have anything really from them besides the letter of intent signed. So next steps are coming and we'll see what they give us and then we have to take it from there. Thank you. We will proceed with caution for sure.
Definitely welcome business.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Blackmer?
To answer your question, you can dress your own deer. You just can't go into business doing it commercially in the town of Thompson. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, but I mean, my concern is, when did it get put into something get put into bylaws or whatever?
Been in the regulations for many years. Some people are, there was a number of people that felt that there shouldn't be any slaughterhouses in town or commercial meat processing. And I don't agree with that part, but you can do your own thing on your own animals, on your own property.
Copy of
Thank you,
the
Mr. Blackmer.
zoning regs, that package. I mean, if you want to see it. It's right here.
And so I just wanted to address, Mr. Warner again brought up his concerns about the votes and again, so the votes were all legal in that any member who is seated, whether they are a regular member or an alternate member, has the full voting privileges of a commission member. The language in the bylaws is to standardize the number of votes required for certain votes. So when it says a majority of the regular members, that is in terms of the amount of, so that is a majority of the 10 regular members, not to be construed as a majority of the 13 regular plus alternate. So the votes to which you are referring to in August 20, or that Mr. Warner refers to on August 24th, on September 15th, on May 24th, were all legal votes according to our bylaws and according to procedure. Ms. Halsey.
Not that I want to extend this meeting, but what about the ones that he brought up where there weren't the correct numbers? There were supposed to be 6 and there were only 4 that voted, or
We were
6.
not counting the alternate. And the alternate, when they're seated, when the chair seats an alternate, they become a regular regular member. They have the same voting rights you do. Once they've been seated for that.
And that's where the discrepancy has been.
Well,
Double
that's
check
the way
it.
it
I'll
is.
double, yeah, that's not how I read it. I'll double check that too. I don't want to extend.
If that
Okay.
wasn't the case, why have any alternate?
Item 17, next meeting, Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting on April 25th, 2022, 7 p.m. The Merrill Cine Community Room of Thompson Hall, 815 Riverside Drive, North Riverdale, Connecticut.
How many hours your seminar was?
You put my,
1 hour.
And
you put mine in.
the subdivision,
The only one, first.
and the subdivision regulation subcommittee meeting is Thursday at 7 via Zoom. This Thursday.
Yes, that works. for
Item
me too.
18 is adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Motion made by Mr. Blackmer, seconded by Mr. Krogel. Any objection? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned at 8:32 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Back there. Okay, well.